Well then, it's time.
Welcome to the first NoBS Roundtable. And yes, we're going to hit you very hard to start it. Why not? Why not have this be the most evergreen topic ever? We've got our brain experts, we've got financial therapists, you've got Christine and I who have mental problems in ourselves. And as business owners, we're here to present a lot of that. As the roundtable goes, we have three main topics that we'll speak about, from both shame to guilt to feeling paralyzed in life. And each one of our experts is going to have their little off the cuff conversation about it, but then we're going to just go deeper, as deep as we can within this hour. So I'm not introducing everyone because you should know everyone at this point because they're on the collective. If not, you can go ahead and check out NoBS Wealth. Their whole bio and everything's there. It's going to be in the show notes. It's also going to be in the email that comes out as well. So let's dive into it, because really the content matters, not me speaking. So the first one topic is around shame and the spiral of shame that happens when we talk about not only necessarily money, but that's kind of what we're about, but in life in general. So when I use it as an example is whether it's tax season, whether it's your financials, most of us know what to do, right? We know the basis of what we need to do to get done. The problem is then we have to choose something, right? We have to choose to get new tires on our car. We have to choose soccer tryouts. We have to choose where our kid goes to play sport and how much that costs, because that choice then dictates what we can and can't do somewhere else. Then we can't pay that bill, or we're late on that bill, and it just keeps spiraling, right? Which turns into shame, somewhat of a guilt as well. And so that's where we set the table of those that are out there and you feel that way, right? Whatever your life is, whether it's tax related, your financial related, your personal relationships, you feel this shame, and I'm here to say you shouldn't. One, a lot of us go through a lot of those situations, but it's there. And so I'm going to open it up to whoever wants to jump on it first, but off the cusp, it's like, what does shame spiraling mean to you, and how do you deal with it in your guys' practice or personally?
Go ahead, Rachel. Yeah.
That's fine. Hi, everyone. I'd say it's, I call it the big S word. I'd say my client's number one word that they associate with money. And the thing with shame is that it's so private, it's so individual. And I think what a lot of us are doing, I'm in this camp too, is, we're walking around comparing our insides to other people's outsides. And there is, I think a lot of my clients are like, how is everyone else doing it, right? They look like they have it together. But guess what? Someone also probably thinks the same about you. Like, we put a lot of work in how our outsides are looking, and whether that's, lifestyle choices or whatever, but it's sort of only one piece of the whole financial puzzle. And so what I work with my clients a lot is, you know your whole financial picture. You only know one slice of theirs, right? How did they all go to Italy for 2 weeks, right? I don't know, but there's a story there that also you don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good with money, and that's why they were able to go to Italy for 2 weeks. So what I do a lot is like realizing that what we see in others is just a tiny slice, and it's their external, just as we all do our own external. And the thing with shame is when we keep it really, we keep these thoughts about ourselves, these judgments, I should be farther ahead because I'm X years old. And we keep this knocking around in this like little tiny echo chamber of our own mind. And then that's what creates the shame. Well, I feel so chaotic about it. It must be my fault. And so I think the first part of my work is, we get to the numbers way down the road. We're really sitting with an understanding, first normalizing that experience, just like you said, Stoy. And, I think recognizing the parts that you do have right, because I have these different domains I see with folks' money, and we look through it, and usually like one or two need some work and one or two are pretty well worked out, and so just trying to get a comprehensive picture and just having a really compassionate conversation with a third party, with a professional like me or the others on this panel, it starts to dispel the shame pretty quickly.
I think I'd like to maybe just take a step kind of back and talk about at least how I love everything, Rachel, that you shared, the comparing our insides to someone's outside. I think that is really, I think, a wonderful nugget to kind of take away with. I guess where maybe I'd like to pull back and just offer some thoughts around is what I hear is oftentimes clients interchangeably kind of talking about things like guilt and shame, um, and comparison. And that's a story, like listening to you, like those were three just kind of things that come up. And there's a difference actually between all three of them that I think it is worth like naming and identifying here, because because when we do, it's helpful because we kind of know maybe what to work and what to work with. And so when I think about guilt, like guilt is more behavior focused. The thing that I did something that was wrong or that I'm not proud of, or I feel badly that I spent money on this and not that. Like that is a behavior. When we talk about shame, at least in the therapeutic like context, shame is more tied to who I am as a person, like my character, what I think about me individually. So, and that can be tied to what I do, right? But shame is different than I feel bad that I spent money on, it's different from guilt. And that guilt is I feel bad that I spent money on this. Shame would be more, I am a bad person. I am bad with money. I make bad choices. Like I am bad, right? It's this characterization of like who we are and how we approach like navigating and walking through that can be very different. I think that comparing, for those of you familiar with Brene Brown, like, look, goddess, love her. Would love to be BFFs with her. She talks about, comparison is the thief of joy. I don't actually entirely agree with that. Because I actually think that on some level, comparison can be helpful, healthy, and motivating. And I also think that guilt can be helpful, healthy, and motivating as well. What we're talking about, though, is shame, in this characterization of I am a bad person, like I am bad, and how I think about myself is bad. And so I offer that, at least kind of starting out, because I think it's important that we suss that out, because it is different. And so for those like listening, where you feel like, I just feel bad about some of the financial decisions that I make. Like, I don't think that I am bad inherently, like with money, or that I am an irresponsible person, but I just think like, I don't make like great choices. Like that's an important, I think, just, psychological distinction to be able to name, because how we then approach it, Rachel, as you were saying, kind of there, it can look a bit different.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Ashley is saying, and that distinction and that awareness of the distinction is so important, especially when guilt is saying, I made that mistake, but shame is saying, I am the mistake and I am failing in that way. And I think it's, different people come to shame for different reasons. Sometimes it's worth, safety, identity, belonging. There's so many different things that really, and it could be a combination of all of them as well. So that awareness, I think, is so key, and really starting to separate fact from what the mind is just assuming to be fact. Like the company, is having a setback. I'm experiencing a delay. That doesn't mean that I'm failing. It doesn't mean that I'm not capable of moving this forward. So that distinction and being able to do exercises like that really takes a lot of the emotional weight out of the subconscious and bring it into the open, where you can actually start to work with it. So I love that.
Yeah, you guys talking it's, I'm not even thinking about it from like a line of what I do as a marketer, but being a business owner. And I'm having this conversation a lot right now around just finances and the shame that goes behind, like when you're late on your bills and paying contractors and things like that. And one of the things that I'm noticing most is that transparency is extremely important. I'm having a lot of conversations around this topic. And the thing that's really shedding light is the transparency. So it's like in those moments when we're feeling that shame, right? I felt it this morning. Like, I was like, I didn't know we were getting on this call. And like, I felt it this morning. And so, I'm finding that having these conversations is really helping with that. And the more that we can be transparent and talk about that shame, I think is going to lessen the burden of that shame too. Yeah.
How natural is it? Like how normal is it? Normal, right? Quote unquote. I'm not normal, so that's probably the wrong word. But how natural is it as a human to feel shame? Like to go into that spiral more so than the positive side?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think I probably hit that shame factor first before I think about the positives, right? I think it's complete human reaction. And now, if you're somebody who doesn't like taking accountability, that's a different story. But I think that, for us as people who take accountability, people who have integrity behind what they do, that shame plays a huge role. And I think that's the first emotion I probably feel when I'm starting to feel any type of way about money or finances or my business as a whole, is that shame.
I think there's a level of conditioning like that happens. Like, when I was practicing more heavily, like just clinically, like what I would notice is that for those that go to shame quickly, there has been a history of conditioning of going there. So I like to explain it. A lot of things is like, imagine like you're walking in the woods, and there's a very clear path. A path that you could take, and you can see it. It's pretty clear. You don't see brush like hanging over. Maybe it's even paved. Maybe there's even some guardrail, right? But it's a very clear and obvious path. And that's a little bit how like our brain works, like over time, like from a conditioning, like the path that like our brain takes over and over and over again, it's going to make it easy to take when we come to a situation or a scenario like, hey, I messed up, right? Well, gosh, I'm just a bad person. Like, I'm just terrible. I'm just so irresponsible. Like, our brain is naturally just going to take that very clear path, right? And so, and that may not be a great thing. Like, it doesn't mean that this is a positive thing, but like our brain is going to take certain paths and follow them. The more that we do it, the more we walk in the woods, the more we, chop down trees. If we're building a new trail, right? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of intentionality, and it's not easy. And so going to shame, like moving to shame, to me, for clients, for people who can go there quickly and easily, to me, that's an indication of like, oh my goodness, like you've been going to this place for probably like a while. This is something you've been doing like a long time. Is it normal? Well, yeah, I mean, it's normal in the context of like that person because that's their default. That's like what they're like used to. Is it helpful? Probably not. But it does make sense, right? Because all behavior like makes sense in context. And so it makes sense. It may not be helpful. It might be unwanted. But it sounds like that's just part of their individual human like conditioning.
Yeah, and I think whether it expresses as guilt or shame or comparison, we are inherently such social creatures. I mean, the most introvert person is still so social. And we've got all these parts of our brain running this program of like, am I safe? Am I safe? And a big question or big answer behind am I safe is, am I accepted by the people around me? And so I think that's the calculus we're just running constantly. Where do I measure up? Not in terms of am I better than, but will I be accepted? Am I doing the same things as the people around me? And so whether your path goes to shame or guilt or simple comparison, I think it's a lot of us navigating this world as very social creatures. And because money touches like everything, well, then there's often that money component of it. But I think it's actually like, do I fit in? And I think that's actually going on underneath almost every script in some way. And actually the even deeper script is, am I safe? Will I be protected? Will I be accepted by the people around me?
Yeah, I agree. I think, there is this loneliness epidemic that's going on, and it's not only what we think of as physically alone, not having people around you. It's also this sense of maybe I don't belong because I don't have what other people around me have, or I should have at my age. And that sense of identity and belonging is so deeply tied to money, because it's one of our, survival instincts to make money and, excel in our careers and whatnot. So I think it just goes hand in hand. And it's so much bigger than just, oh, I'm experiencing shame or I'm experiencing these emotions. This is part of what it is to be human and to go through these flows. And we really have to come together as a society and work together, because it's affecting all of us.
But how do we, we all do work in this space. Like, we all somewhere touch this to help, all of us, right? And the part that is always toughest is, one, we keep having these conversations, both one-on-ones with our clients, groups, podcasts, articles, and I get a feeling from people that engage or comment on our stuff of, yeah, but I can't even get through the door. I can't even open it, crack it a little bit for myself, because it's so heavy for me. It is so heavy. I'm so deep in shame that it keeps spiraling, that I'm now more shameful for myself to even have to work with a Rachel or an Ashley, or do work with Tessa, or come to Christina and I just from a financial or marketing perspective. Like, it is so hard and heavy for them that they can't even crack the door open a little bit. From your guys' perspective, give us one thing or whatever thing they can do to at least, turn the knob a little bit before they try to knock down the door, or anything to get them through that heaviness that they're feeling right now.
I would say accepting it, first and foremost, just name it and accept it. And I don't mean that dismissively, just accept it and that's it. But sometimes we try to fight to not feel something so hard that it really just exacerbates the feeling. Or if we avoid wanting to, and it still lives there. We think if we can just put our head in the sand, or it'll go away soon. Or if I just don't think about it, or if I just don't do this or engage in this way, I won't feel that. And I think that when it comes to change, so if we, and I won't go into this because this is incredibly nerdy and people will be very, very judgmental of what I like to read in my spare time. But if we look at the trans-theoretical model of change in terms of change readiness, right? We we can't just live in denial here and then still expect to make change. We have to be, we can be in this contemplative or pre-contemplative state. But if we can enter into this contemplative state of you know what, maybe this shame is really holding me back. And I wonder what that might be like. I wonder what it might be like if I took some steps. What would those steps be? I really hate feeling this way. It's so gosh darn heavy. If we can just, from an acceptance place, just start to even begin to think there, it can help create some movement and move us to more of a preparatory state of gosh, I heard this podcast where these 4 chicks and a dude were talking about shame, and that was really interesting. I don't know if I've thought about it in that way. And there's people out there that can work with us. Maybe then I can take some steps. There's a process that we move through from a change standpoint, but I do think that it starts with first acknowledging and just accepting, this is what this is. This is the lay of the land. And I don't like it. And I don't want to be here. But if I can at first at least acknowledge it, then we know how to move through it. It's like the book, Going on a Bear Hunt. I don't know, Christina, you've got a little one there, but if we've read the book, Going on a Bear Hunt, if not, you should go read it, because I feel like it is literally the map of life, of how life happens. You can't go under it, you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you got to go through it. And to some degree, that's how this is when it comes to making changes, certainly around the emotional end.
I think, sorry. Go Rachel. No, go Rachel, you can go.
Well, I just have to say, Ashley, let's start a book club, because I have a feeling our bedside tables look very similar. I'm a big Stages of Change fan.
I am not alone.
Woohoo. No, let's talk. We'll have a whole separate convo about that. Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think also being a financial therapist, I really want to spread the word that financial trauma is a real thing, and it is everywhere, and it's worth treating. right? And if you have that kind of like nervous system reaction of like, hell no, or like blocks, huge fear, you want to run for the hills. This is not a cognitive process. This is a physiological, your body feels in danger around the topic of money. So it's worth treating. I would even use the word treating. And even because, yeah, okay, you know what you need to do, sure, but your body perceives all threat as physical threat. So that's where I come in, is like, this we need to have safe, reparative experiences around money, because likely if someone's having the kind of scenario you described, Stoy, like I'm looking at this from a financial trauma lens, and not to like even put it deeper, but like to actually validate that, yeah, you feel really afraid. Okay, right? And really validating that, and now we know where we're going, right? That's the direction I would go.
I'm glad you went first, Rachel, because you just made me think of something else too. Adding on to what you were saying, Ashley, not only the acceptance, but I think the understanding, as cliche as it sounds, like you're really not alone. Like I said this on the last podcast episode that Story and I did. It's like, Buttercup, you ain't anything special. And I mean that with all the love in the world, right? Like we all are going through some really big pivots right now. Again, having these conversations, and with that being said, I think understanding like you really aren't alone. Like a lot of people are in this boat, and I think that's huge. I know it helps me for sure. And then going on, like piggybacking off of what Rachel said, understanding the root cause of that trauma is huge. Like I can literally date back now to like that first financial anxiety I had. I was like 8 years old and I lost money that my parents gave me. And that one incident shaped so much around like my money habits and, my mindset on it, XYZ. So I also think understanding the root cause of it, oh my God, that makes all the difference in the world. And then, like you said, Rachel, treating it. Oh, guys, don't have a kid on following you. Geez, sorry. But yeah, I think that plays a big role. Just understanding that root cause. I think about all those books out there, like I'm a badass with money or whatever the hell it's called. And, none of those books ever related to me. I don't have like this money fear, like, oh, I don't deserve it. Right. And I think like, especially the online space teaches that a lot, like this deserving factor around money when there's so many other elements to it. So I remember when I first started really thinking about that, like, oh, wow, like I don't relate to this. What do I relate to? And that's when I started to figure out the root cause. And man, if you can do that, I'm not saying it gets easier, but it gives a lot of perspective. It gives, and it helps you give yourself some grace.
Yeah, so important to give yourself grace just throughout this process. Because like you said, we're all going through it, no matter what stage. Even when you hit your next level, you're now trying to keep getting to someone else's level. So, it's always just give yourself grace with that process. And I'd also say that when you're deep in that shame spiral and it feels kind of just like nothing is working, some like quick hacks is that not using productivity as a way to like release that anxiety, because what happens is anxiety leads us to more work. I just need to do more, have more. And it gives a temporary relief that just teaches the nervous system, okay, we're going to give more anxiety, because it's like a cyclical process in that. So taking time to reconnect with just what's around you and kind of settle the nervous system, going out and sitting in nature by a big tree, going and taking a walk. Like nature is one of our most abundant resources and something that can help us, not consciously, but subconsciously get out of that scarcity mindset that we don't have enough and there's not enough available to us. Or just, sitting down and doing a deep breaths and a meditation, eating a really nutritious meal and just feeling, that the body kind of be satiated. All of those are kind of signals to transition out of fight or flight. So then you can actually just look at the same situation through a different lens.
First of all, Tess, do not attack me like that again, please. Okay? I was not prepared for you to just throw me out there like that. No, I felt that one more to my core because I do that with anxiety. I just do more work and then I recognize, well, that's a bad cycle. and then I keep doing it. So I definitely appreciate that. I would say kind of what I told my son last night after soccer tryouts, because he didn't have a good tryout on the 7th day of the tryouts. And I always told him was just put your chin up high and take the next step forward. I don't care what that step looks like for anyone out there, like whatever your goals are, where you're at, just hold your chin up high and take a step forward, because you are able to get through it, and you have to go through it. But if you do it with your chin up high, things are just a little easier. Things are a little lighter.
Did you
in
sing
that
the
as well.
Frozen song, the Do the Next Right Thing?
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that you're going to say that you sang the chorus to Frozen 2 of Do the Next Right Thing. And if you didn't, shame on you. Like,
Yeah.
Dad, I'm really disappointed in you.
As you should be, because I did not. But editing, Christina, let's make sure that gets in at this place, and that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
On to our next topic, because these things can come hand in hand, but one's a different trigger. So we're in a shameful spiral, and usually that causes us to enact. We don't do anything. We just freeze. However, what I'm talking about isn't necessarily from an internal, it's more external. So we all know this, it's 2026. We've had political crap, we've had tariffs, we've had wars, we have a whole student loan thing coming out July 1st. We've had, the most student loans and mortgages and everything delinquent. Businesses are failing. People's businesses aren't doing great. Some are doing fantastic. We've got a stupid IPO launch for SpaceX, and everyone thinks it's going to be the next savior. Like, we have so many things going on from the financial perspective, let alone like the personal, and, there's always school shootings. There's always something, right? It causes a lot of us to like take that in and just not do anything. Like, I'm not going to go out in the world. I'm going to Uber Eats everything. I just don't want to be around people. And I feel like that being paralyzed like that obviously isn't a great thing. I'm not the expert, but I do know it's not a great thing in business for us when we're trying to move forward. When we have all this external things happening, and we do start to freeze and just like lock down, because we all have done that. What do we do? Like, where does that go for all of you, of like all this stuff coming on? And I know we all take it on because it's part of when we do content, it's part of our research so we can help others. Like, but that's a lot. And what do regular people who don't have the experience or the abilities to overcome some of that, like, what do they do?
So all of the things that you named there externally, I think are absolutely, they're happening. You're not lying. That's not what I'm meaning to say, is that you're just making things up. But I guess when I was listening to you say that, and what was also coming up for me is just the busyness of life, pending where, families are like right now. So, Stoy, you and I share just that travel sport commonality. I've got 2 middle schoolers. Like, we are in the throes of travel sports. We are in the throes of, all just kind of like the things. And, Uber Eats, Chick-fil-A, like, there are just things sometimes where I find that myself, friends, and other clients, like, what they tend to reach for is convenience, things that make life a little bit easier, because decision fatigue is real. And so what can like people do? I think taking a few moments to just really thoughtfully consider, like, what do I need in this period of time right now that would be helpful for me. So for example, it's summertime right now and I work from home full time. My 12 and 13-year-old are also home right now. And this is just 10 weeks where my day to day, like my quote unquote, 8 to 3 is a little bit more disrupted. It's a little bit more chaotic. I'm not able to have the same rhythms and things that I do during the school year that I do now. And I think the tendency for some people, myself included, is to be very frustrated, to maybe there is some guilt and shame that comes up. Maybe there's a lot of stuff there, but we fight it, right? We don't take time. We just kind of like put our head down. Maybe we freeze and just don't do anything, but we might also just fight it internally, like with how we speak to ourselves or about the situation. And so I do think taking some time to thoughtfully think through like, hey, what do I need like kind of in this season? For me, what that looks like, if we're talking about just some practical strategies, I have changed when I go for walks to like first thing in the morning. So I've kept my wake up time like the same, even though my kids aren't getting up and going to school, and I'm choosing to go and get my walks like in during that time. Also, I live in Georgia, and here in a few weeks, it's going to be hotter than Hades for about like 60 to 90 days. So there's some advantage there from a physical exercise. But we've also thought about like convenience, like too, like what does that look like during this time? Things that maybe we might pay for that are a little bit more convenient, and that's okay. And accepting that this is temporary. I think that is the key for seasons of life, whether, even like political climate, market volatility, like these are seasons. They are generally, knock on wood, I will say temporary states. And if we can remind ourselves like that this is temporary. And so in this temporary state, what do I need? What will help me to be able to get through, thoughtfully thinking through and considering that. At least, it might be helpful. It may not solve everything, but it might just be helpful enough to give you just a little bit more, mental, emotional, or even physical bandwidth.
Totally agree with that. And I think it's really important to also shrink the time horizon in your mind, because the mind has a tendency to just project everything that we need to do within the next year, 5 years. We're thinking not only about these on an immediate scale, but how is the world going to be for my kids and next generations? And that's just something naturally that the mind does. So recognizing that and really starting to just focus on what is one thing I can do in the next 30 minutes or in this day to push me one step forward of training my nervous system to be able to hold and receive more. So I think it helps to really separate the thinking mind from the doing mind. When we can give ourselves proof and evidence of what we're doing, it helps rein the mind in so that it's not so concerned with those long-term things that still need to be done. So I like to even make like a have done list, not just a to-do list, because sometimes my to-do list can get so overwhelming and I do start to feel that overwhelm where you just kind of want to procrastinate. So just keeping like a note in my phone of key things that I've done over the week. So when I do start to feel those lulls, I can return to it and say, I've actually done a lot. Yes, nothing maybe is moving in the direction that I wanted, but I know that I'm putting the effort and the momentum out there. And as soon as I transition out of this fight or flight, I'm going to be open to more opportunities.
Oh, I'd love to tag on that because I want to go on the fight or flight experience for sure. And in the scenario you were painting, Sto, I feel like, the emotional experience of like getting inundated with the bad news and stuff is a feeling of helplessness. That's one of the most painful things for us to feel is to feel ineffective, especially if we're the kind of person who likes to do things or likes to fix things. But then we hear the news. It's like, there's no way little old me can do anything. And so I think there's a couple things with that. First is kind of like the Fred Rogers, like look for the helpers. Like I look for the glimmers. There is good news out there, everybody. Like there's good news. You do have to look for it, but there's totally good news, like.
Actually, there's an Instagram account called like good news or something, like, I forget the handle. Exactly. There's literally an Instagram account that is dedicated like just to good news, to that point, Rachel.
Yeah, let's find that. And we do have to look for it because the bad news dominates because our brains are wired like safety, where are all the threats? So I think number one, just like look for the good news in your present community, your friends, your neighbors, like this whole bond release just happened in Denver and all of our parks are getting redone. Like, okay, there's good news out there. And so I think that's number one. And then, but number two, following that line. So I come from an art therapy background. It feels really good when you feel ineffective is to make something with your hands. And I'm a huge fan of rekindling hobbies. And that's like no joke. Hobbies just aren't an extra. I really think they're core, and it got to have something that is non-monetized, not part of your career, something that's totally different. And a lot of my clients, their financial healing journey often includes rekindling an old hobby or committing to a hobby that they had been interested in and had put off. Like, these are not nice to haves. They are got to haves to, like, how do you feel like a person? And often our hobbies are social, not always, but often it is about bringing people together you wouldn't otherwise be with, and to make something, to do something that is outside of the commercialism, productivity trap, like you said, Tessa. I really love that. Like, I play music with other parents once a month. And these are parents that never come to school functions, aren't involved in the PTA. It's like a dad with a broken guitar and a 6-pack of beer, and I wouldn't know him any other way. But we rock out to 90s songs every third Wednesday. And it is everything for me. And then I can weather some of the bad news, right? Because like my cup is filled. So find the glimmers, get into your hobbies.
I love that. It's not nice to have, it's gotta have.
Really
Because
is.
we take so much of these and just consider them like, oh, it's nice to, do these things. It's nice to do wellness. They're all feel good kind of habits, but it's really
Self-care.
like rewiring the nervous system from the inside out. So
Yeah.
gotta have.
Yeah.
I feel
made
triggered
this.
by this whole conversation.
Oh no.
No, it's a
I'm
good thing though. I think it's good. I think I at Stoios, I like to feel triggered. Like it means good content.
It means I'm alive.
Yeah, and it's something that I struggle with. That's why it's like something I struggle with personally. The last 3 years, but really 2 years of my life, I've been in a full-time caregiving role. And so like that brought like a whole other side of emotional stress to me, but also showed me how important it is for me to stay into my routine and do these things that I need to do. And like, you just saying, Rachel, like you fill your cup by, playing music. Like I love that. I went and took a dance class last month and I was like, I need to do this stuff. Right. And so that's why I say it's triggering, because I'm like, I know I got to be better about this, but it's something. And for anybody who's listening, who's like me, who really struggles with it, like, you kind of do have to force yourself in the beginning. You got to force yourself. You got to force yourself to do it. And I know that every time I do, right? Even if it's like, I live in Florida, so I'm right there with you, Ashley. It's already hot here. And so it's like,
You guys
even
just
if it
come up
means,
to Denver. Come to Denver.
I love Denver. I used to live in Denver. I lived in Denver, actually. Yeah, I'll be
How
there
come
next
if
year.
they
I'll
have
be
sweet tea, when they start making
I
sweet
love me
tea,
some
like
sweet
Okay, you
tea.
have to teach
that's
us.
what
Teach
they
us
sell,
how.
then I will move
I
there.
need
But
to make
until
that.
then,
Okay,
I
teach us
love
how.
I love
Ashley.
Denver. It's amazing. But yeah, I just think that like, really tapping into your routine, making sure that you're doing these things, surrounding yourself by the right people. That's something else that I really noticed, how much my personal energy gets drained by people. And so like refilling my own cup is huge, whether that's with people or more often than not without. And once you can, I think that plays a role too, like understanding your own energetic levels and stuff and what you can take on. Tapping in. Sorry, I don't want to go all spiritual on everybody, but it does. It helps. It helps. So yeah, everything you guys are saying, I'm like, I need to listen to this a little deeper, because I think a lot of us know what we need to do, right? And it's like we know what we have to do. We know what's going to make us feel better, but it's the actual doing part. So it's like we can have the intention behind it, but until we're actually doing it, I think that's where I sit. And I'm going to assume I'm not alone in that.
Could I feel like I want to close the loop also, that I think things like, yeah, your dance class, music or getting with community or whatever. And if there is like a cost involved or a financial component, that's often like a really helpful thing for my clients. Oh, would I rather DoorDash tonight, or do I want to pay for that guitar lesson? Right. And now I have something I'm going towards, and like what is filling your cup, what's feeling really good and like helping me feel like a person. And if there is a financial component, then now we're working towards something. And that thing that is regulating for you, when you're more regulated, you'll be less inclined to impulse spend. You'll interface with your money more often. Like that's how it all, I think, feeds into itself, because willpower is just a really finite resource. But if you can start the flywheel of signing up for the class, right, prepaying for it, going with some friends who will remind you or be like, we missed you in class. I think we're so driven in this society that, like, I have to, bootstrap it. I have to, sometimes we need that little spark to get going. But, with our relationships, with maybe putting a little skin in the game financially, these things actually can help us find that motivation to stay in it. And then it's a flywheel and it fulfills itself.
From a practical step, this is what we do for everyone's budget. It's a line item. We call it fun money or joy money. Larry Sprung, another CFP of mine, terms the toy joy, but either joy or fun money. You have to have this allocation in your budget. I don't care if it's 25, 50, 100, whatever the number is for your budget, but this is money that you literally could set on fire if you want to. Just don't, please do it, something that does bring you joy, but using that for yourself allows you to already know it's not coming from another bucket. Because a lot of us do get stuck in frozen of, well, I'm maxed out on my budget, right? I have everything allocated. I can't go do that for myself. I cannot go do the Pilates class, or I cannot go buy steak and cook it for myself. Like, I can't do those things that bring me joy because it's not in my budget. And that's why we need to have that fun or joy money budget line item for these specific reasons, to already tell yourself, yeah, go do it. Like, you are allowed to, you need to, you have to, you get to, whatever word you need to use. It's already put into the budget, and it allows that freedom of choice, in my opinion.
Can I just add one thing, because you just said that? That is like probably my favorite thing about working with you, besides our relationship, my cousin, brother, not. But I like that I don't feel guilty about those things that I need. Like, I get monthly massages. That shit's not going anywhere. Like, I need that for like my massage therapist. Like, she's like a healer. I'm like, this woman resets me every single month. Like, yes, is it an expense? Yeah, is it an expense I probably don't need? Sure, but no, mentally, it makes all the difference for me. And not having guilt from you around having, to be needing to do that for myself. Oh man, it's huge. I remember when you told me I could only get my nails done once a month. Cool, I'm okay with that as long as I can get them done, because it's part, that kind of stuff does make me feel more like myself. And I think that if people understood that, or had the right financial people in their corner, that really lessened a lot. That made me feel a lot better. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah. And Christina, I always like to think of it as like, you're throwing more money in the economy. You're supporting all these other businesses like nails, massage, like these are people's livelihoods. This is what makes, it's reciprocity is how we get more and grow more. So when we're in that scarcity mindset, we tend not to be as giving because we start to hoard and we start, out of fear. So recognizing and just changing your perception in the moment of I have no guilt about this because I'm supporting this other business or I'm supporting these industries can go a long way.
All right, let's take a quick intermission before the third topic. This intermission is brought to you and sponsored by Ashley and her recipe for her sweet tea. So Ashley, go ahead, tell us your recipe for sweet tea.
Whoa. Okay. What if that's like proprietary? Like, we did not go over this at the beginning. So we're talking like Southern sweet tea, AKA like diabetes in a cup, right?
Well, I mean, allegedly we can't get you out of the state of Georgia unless we have this.
Well, it's not the state of Georgia, like the Southeast. Like, let's be clear. Okay. I am a North Carolina girl, like at my heart and core, like born and raised, and hopefully will die a North Carolina girl. I'm just forced to live in Georgia right now. Right. But where
actually, the people want to know, the people need to know
where my boundaries lie are states that serve sweet tea in their restaurants. Like, so, I mean, the recipe is simple. It's black tea, and sugar. Now there's some key, strategies here. Like there's like the sugar water tea, like ratio, like how strong, like the tea. There are like some, individual preferences here. Lipton is not sweet tea. Like Lipton sweet in a bottle, like that is not Southern like sweet tea. It needs to be like just enough, like, kind of sweet, like thickness to where, it's satiating, like it feels good, like with a lot of ice. Oh, that's the other thing too, is that you have to have the right ice, because you can't have big ice cubes because they're just terrible. You need almost like the pellet ice.
Like the Sonic ice?
Kind of, yeah. And listen, there might be some people that have different thoughts and feelings about this and they're wrong, but like the ice can also be like a deal breaker here. I could talk about sweet tea for a long time, probably than what this intermission allows. But I am just here to say on record, states that do not offer sweet tea as like this is a, staple in our restaurant, you won't find me moving there. I'm not moving to those states. So, and I'm pretty sure Colorado is one of them. So I will visit.
For sure. We have some like agave nectar hippie.
That's not,
Okay.
that might be healthy and that is great. But I'm talking like the white, like sugar, like
diabetes.
Yes. Like I need diabetes in a cup. Like,
do you do sun
like
tea
my teeth need to hurt
Ashley?
when I drink it.
Oh. Like, do you do sun tea? Have you done sun tea?
Sun tea?
I have a Georgia boy and he makes sun tea.
Is that lemonade sweet tea? Lemonade sweet tea?
No,
combo?
It's like out in the sun.
And you put it outside. He's like, he's from Georgia. He's such a Georgia boy.
Does he also eat red clay? Like, because I don't.
The sun tea threw me, man. I was like, so this is baking outside to like steep, and he's like, yeah. He left it out there for like 8 hours, man. It was so good.
Maybe I don't know.
Crazy.
That sounds. What do the kids say? That sounds sus.
But I'm fine. But it's sweet tea. It's just another way of making it.
I'll try it. I will try it, but I'm pretty bougie and opinionated about it. And maybe if he has the right ice, like it's fine. It's great. I don't know.
I agree with you on the ice. So you started.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm glad I did. That was hilarious. It was when Ashley went into a different realm, by the way, she like looked here and did this. I knew she was envisioning like, it's not watery, it's not syrup, but there is this, like, there's this, and that's what she was getting at. And internally, I could not, like, I felt.
I feel like we need to like zoom on Ashley's face for the edit. And, like,
I have way too strong. I have way too many opinions about this. Way too many.
Left like therapy land. Like you are no longer a therapist.
I'm so sorry. All I can say is sweet tea and barbecue. If I will talk for like ad nauseum and share my opinion. I'm not ashamed. I will die. Those are hills I'll die on, talking about what's right and wrong when it comes to sweet tea and barbecue. So yeah.
Well, this intermission was brought to you by Ashley and her fascination with sweet tea. Sweet tea is delicious. On our next intermission, next one will be about barbecue. So folks, stay tuned
Ready
for that. All right. Our last topic, while yes, built around first gen wealth guilt in general, but I've got 4 badass women on here who, one, are my ideal clientele in general, but also I know have gone through some of this, I don't want to call it first gen wealth guilt per se, but being women, being business owners in this world, and whether it's you're having kids, whether it's you're dealing with all the crap that's going on in the world, I know there's something heavy there. We've all each individually talked about it, but it is there. And it's not only for women, right? Like majority of what we deal with is women, LGBTQ, and minority business owners. Back to it though, it's not just one, it's like the entire part of America where we're the ones that have to deal with a lot more emotions and guilt and things that come up in our life that the middle-aged rich white guys don't. Let's just be real about that. So let's walk through that. Let's walk through either you personally, individually, or in general, this first gen wealth guilt thing, building what you're building based upon who you are and what our society has raised us all to be or to think to be.
So I don't mind jumping in. So personally, I come from a middle-class family. Both my parents worked. My dad was the breadwinner. My mom, she worked. So career feels like a strong word, but jobs also feels a bit maybe diminished demean. Like she worked jobs. I don't know if I would say she had a career, but has in more of the later stage started to build some of that career in banking. But growing up, right, I saw my mom work in different areas, different sectors, and she always worked. Her mother, my grandmother, did not. She was a stay-at-home military wife. And so there's been this like I saw this progression, and what was kind of communicated to me like as a woman is to go out and be independent, and to be able to take care of yourself and not, don't want you to like to depend on a man, like make your own way. um and not that those were not helpful messages, because they were simultaneously. Like my father like also very much communicated to like you can do anything a man can do, like not factually true, but like I appreciated like the vote of confidence, there. But it was more of like a sense of empowering me. And my dad had a very small CPA practice. So he worked for like a firm, but he saw like clients on the side. But the idea of like being a business owner, I didn't have a model really like for that. I was just told, be able to take care of yourself. And my dad, like he would communicate to me like, hey, work if you can, like work for yourself. Like be your own boss. You can do it. There's a lot like as a woman, like growing up, like a young one, like there were really empowering like messages that I heard like on repeat for both of my parents. But I didn't have a model. Like, what does that look like as a woman who very much is ambitious and like wants a career, wants to build something that is meaningful, but also like I wanted to be a mom. And it was like this, I kind of want to have it all. But I don't even know if I can. That feels maybe selfish. Also, who else does that? I didn't know anyone that did that. And I would say even not still now, but in my personal life. So in my, circle of friends, in my family system, my husband Clayton and I, like we are both business owners. No one else in our family, they're business owners. And there are just unique challenges that come with that. But also like on the female side, and the mom side, it's like, well, you don't have to, like, I get told like, you don't have to work. Like you could just be with your kids and not stress out in the summer, when, they're running around and like, mom, can you take me here? Can you take me there? Like, can you take, yeah, I'd love to just do that, but I also want something else like for me. So there's this like for me, there's this like constant like tension of like who am I supposed to be? Who do I want to be? And who do I need to be? And like talking with other, particularly like female business owners. And listen, I'm gonna like crap on therapists here for a second, Rachel. This is not like meaning to you, like, but as a clinician, like when I went into therapy, that was is still like a female, it's very female, like heavily like dominated. And I kind of thought like, this is my tribe, like other like female, like practice owners. But I found that, one, they kind of were, but like also kind of weren't. And they struggled with a lot of the same things I did, but that growth mindset of like, I want something more for myself. And like, I want to make a good living. And yeah, I want to help people, but like, I also want to make money too. And there's a sense of like, I do deserve that. And I can do that. I'm capable of doing that. Unfortunately, like more by and large, more so in the mental health community, we talked about shame, like, man, you are like put on the stake and like burned if you start talking about like, I want to make a good living and I want to charge like I'll say a premium price because, I offer a lot of value. Like, like there's a lot of like shaming around that. So like even living in that kind of space for over a decade, like really messed with me. And I don't even know if I'm completely out of that since I've moved over to the darker side of financial services. They're like both dark sides. I don't know which one's darker. Like it's kind of depends like on any given day. But some of that has been helpful, like seeing, hey, it's okay for me to make money as a woman, as a mom, as a business owner, like that is okay. But, I'll be honest, like it's still a journey. Like I don't know if I have any answers of what I have figured out other than I'm just not afraid. And I try to surround myself with other people. They may not have it figured out either, but they're also not afraid. And at least I'm in the trenches with other people who aren't scared, as opposed to being alone, or surrounded by other people who claim to have it all figured out. But we all know they do not, and they drink unsweet tea and eat bad barbecue. So there's that.
It's a bad barbecue for me.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I will never get that.
Yeah, I love what you said about, needing the right support and really not just leveraging it out to anyone, but getting the support that you actually need. Because I feel like first gen, you're not only carrying your hopes for the future, but you're carrying generations of disappointments and failures that have happened throughout your family lineage, everything that they couldn't accomplish, their fears, we're storing that in the subconscious. So whether you're aware of it or not, that's always affecting you. So even your attempt to be a business owner when no one else in your family was is a huge step for your psyche and your nervous system and just as a human, in this lifetime. So it goes back to that giving ourselves grace, because the ability to not only envision that, but take active steps towards it is huge. And I think something that I learned very early on, luckily, was that I didn't have to do it alone, because that loneliness can be so isolating. And if you just start to reach out, just Google searches of what companies exist that try to help businesses starting out, what mentors maybe exist in my space, whether it's not just the traditional pathways of this is there, it's being able to explore. I do need support. It may not come in the most conventional or traditional forms of what I know and what my family has known, but there is a lot of support out there that I can tap into.
Couldn't find the button. Yeah, I'm a first gen wealth builder, and it's lonely and exhausting breaking trail. It's very cool to be a cycle breaker. And I'm more and more comfortable with it. But yeah, to really fully have left where my family came from, how I grew up, how my parents were with money. We all kind of tend to, I find, repeat the money patterns that we grew up with. It's like a map, right? This is what we do. And so my parents were educators. It's like you get a job at a school or a nonprofit and you pay the bills, you don't get into debt, but you don't pursue wealth, you kind of break even, you stay among the people, you do good work, you volunteer, and that's about it. And those other people who pursue wealth, they're bad. And so then, I'm living that life when I meet my now husband, who is an immigrant to this country and has full on American dream. Like, I want a mansion, I want wealth. And I'm like, it was a total paradigm shift. We have come to the middle, because I'm like, I don't care how much money I have, I'm not taking care of a mansion. Like, no. So we have come to the middle there, but it really disrupted me. Like, oh, it's actually okay to want comfort and have wealth and hang on to that and still be a good person and still do the things that make me feel more connected to my people. But I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with my wealth. I can just say, makes me, I'll just share that with y'all. I'm still sitting with this, but I also realize that my suffering doesn't help the world, first off. I'm also walking my talk, being a financial therapist, and seeing the safety that wealth provides. And I do want this experience for everyone. And so yeah, that's my share with it. And I'm actively still right now figuring that out. But it is getting more and more comfortable and something I'm proud of, where it was like even a couple of years ago, like my dirty little secret.
Well, that's not as bad of a dirty secret as that you eat terrible barbecue, Rachel. So
That's probably true. I mean,
I was
honey,
gonna
it's
say,
all like, what about barbecue tofu? We'll do that.
I was gonna say, can that be my dirty little secret? No, I love that. Now, I grew up definitely like Ashley when you were talking before about just like, you know, just having that beat into your head, like you can't rely on anybody, you got to make. I also had that positive reinforcement, but also that piece too. And so it's like it's a weird thing to kind of sit in between, especially as you get older. So I definitely grew up like that too. And, my stepdad was in private practice on his own, but in my immediate family, I'm also the first person who decided to do this. And I remember when my mom asked me probably for like the first 4 years, did you find a job yet? Did you find a job yet? And I'm like, bitch, this is my job. I love you. Leave me alone. Right. And now obviously it's like a totally different ball game. But sometimes I think my resilience is what keeps me in trouble, because I'm just like this. I'm not backing down. Like I'm going for it. So it's interesting. It's interesting. But I know that we can't give it up, right?
no, there's a quote that I used to say. I don't know. Maybe I heard it from somewhere. So if I stole it, like I would attribute it to them. I don't know, but I just know since like probably grad school. So I'm 40. So that would have been like 15, 17 kind of years-ish ago, coming up on 2 decades. But I remember very vividly like saying that I would rather bet on myself than anyone else. And I have said that. And I have said that even to Clayton, like I would rather bet on us, right, than put that faith in like somebody else when it comes to our financial success or making our own way. And I think that's been such a motivator, like for me, like in business, like I trust me. This might also highlight some of my own trauma. I recognize that. But like, I trust me. I trust my ability to be resilient. I trust my ability to figure it out, because I think that everything is figure outable. And I trust, us, like our couple, like unit. And so, those come from like those kind of messages, those beliefs, like those scripts, obviously they come from somewhere. I've got a few of my own little dirty secrets other than my opinions around sweet tea and barbecue that we don't need to go into, but they have informed and really shaped how I pursue this work, how I pursue like building wealth. And I'm not saying that it's right. It's just, that's what I know. And that's what I'm confident in. And so far, like we have a nice life, and it's worked out. That path in my brain is very, very clear, and I'm going to continue to take it. I don't know if I foresee a scenario where I go into like corporate W-2, life, and I trust and put my trust in someone else or another corporation. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say never, but it's hard. That's hard for me to imagine and to foresee for myself. So I'll bet on me. I'll bet on us. And that's what keeps me going.
Well, besides the fact that I just threw up about corporate,
I noticed
need
that.
to talk about corporate.
It gave me anxiety to think about.
Yeah. She said corporate. I
I'm like tense.
So we're good there. And we're going to go deeper on this one. I think this one we could hit many different ways. I have a few client stories, but we're out of time for today's roundtable, folks. Okay. However, if you want to get to know what my guilt and how I feel, Ashley and I did a Father's Day episode that comes out next week, and you'll get a really deep glimpse into that. So I'll leave my story for that. But again, Tessa, Christina, Ashley, Rachel, thank you for your time. Listeners, if you've gotten this far, or if this is one of the 3 cut-ups, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. But we always ask this, and is, if you heard something for yourself, take that step forward. If you heard it for someone else, also help them take that step forward. We're all here to help you as much as we can. Again, as on behalf of the NoBS Collective, thank you. If you want to know more, all the resources are on the webpage. It'll be in the newsletters. Reach out to us if you can. Thank you.
preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.